Sometimes I wonder if the people that work, the developers that work for ZeniMax, if they actually play this damn game. Instead of waiting for players' feedback, why don't you play the game yourself and realize what you're doing is absolutely fucking stupid? Instead of fixing the errors that they make in the game, the bugs, the coding errors that they put in the game, they have to do changes to the game to be able to correct the mistakes that they have done in the classes. They need to change things in the classes to be able to fix the bugs they put in the game because, I don't know, they're too lazy or they don't want to invest in just repairing the bugs. They have to recode everything to a certain extent to where they have to make changes to every damn class to be able to fix the bugs that they put in the game. They actually changed the damage to the Diedrich minefield, which costs a shit ton of magicka, which there's probably 4 people using. They actually changed the damage of the minefield because there's 3 or 4 people in PvP that are putting mines in front of a door. The mines are there. They're super easy to avoid, but if they're in front of a door, sometimes what happens is they stack on top of each other. Why don't you make it so they don't stack on top of each other instead of reducing their damage? How about that? That is one of the most useless changes that they added to this patch so far. With the light and heavy attacks now that they're changing again, they are removing the stun off of concealed weapon and all the other morphs. The Nightblade, concealed weapon, and surprise attack. They're removing the stuns off of these abilities. I'll come back to that later anyways. Let's read these patch notes. We wanted to take a minute to give you some insight into some additional changes coming to PTS affecting combat and balance. As we continued reading through your feedback from testing these changes, we determined that some of our goals were actively competing with each other and not reaching the target audience in ways we intended. We ultimately want to help raise the floor and reduce the ceiling in regard to DPS output. But reduce the ceiling of DPS output. We want you to do more damage, but in less time. Does not make any sense. While simultaneously improving class balance in some problematic areas, so far this has led to competing changes that have hurt some groups of players, despite us stating we didn't want to actively harm playstyles with any particular change. We are committed to the following through with additional ways to mitigate these issues while still meeting our intended goals. With that all said, next week's PTS patch, you will find that we are reevaluating some adjustments to the light and heavy attacks so that they are a bit less drastic. You mean like doing 900 damage on a DPS with 7,000 weapon damage? Like 900 damage light attack damage? That's dumb as fuck, man. You do the same amount of damage as a tank on a DPS with 7k weapon damage. Just retarded. Now they're changing this now. Anyways, light and heavy attacks will now scale again with your stats, just to a lesser extent than before. Overall, there will be a nerf on light attack damage, but this will allow us to give you a lot more love to heavy attacks and will be less stark of a difference. You know that people are actually complaining about heavy attacks doing too much damage and not light attacks? Once again, you're stupid. What has burst? Heavy attacks. They take more time to crank, but they do a lot more damage. Anyways, it's not like people are doing like heavy attacks in PvE anyway. So the moment they're doing a nerf to heavy attacks, it's mostly for PvP, which is already losing half of their community because of all these changes. There will be a handful of tweaks to some class abilities in next week's PTS patch, based on the feedback we've received, but the majority of all these will come in the final PTS. Note that the focus of these adjustments will be on Magicka-based Nightblades, Wardens, and Sorcerers. Additionally, for Dungeons and Trials, we'll be reducing the health of the bosses and veteran difficulty and above in the final PTS patch to account for the overall DPS loss of like 30,000 damage just for the DPS loss of light and heavy attacks, especially the light attacks. For Trials specifically, we'll be reducing the health of all champions, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a shit? It's fucking useless. We recognize there has been a lot of concern surrounding the combat changes currently on the PTS, and we truly believe with some continued adjustments and iterations, I'm not too sure how to say that, this is the best course of action for the long-term health of the game. No, it's not. You're losing half your population right there just by removing the stun off of concealed weapon. You say you don't want to make changes on classes that will change the way people play, but you're removing the stun off of an ability that has such a short range that you can't even cast it 90% of the fucking time. You know, you're actually retards. And you don't play your game. It's obvious you don't play your game. Also doing a Q&A, guys. Seriously, the last time that they added stuff to surprise attack and concealed weapon. Now, it puts people off balance. Okay, and it's stuns when you do it from behind, well, on the flanks, but from behind or on the sides. But the thing is, they say they don't want to change the way people play, but if you remove the stun off of this ability, you will change the way people play when you already made changes to that ability in the past, saying that you were reducing the range of that ability because it had too many pluses. You know, it had too many things on the plus side that it was doing. Like, okay, it increases your speed. It puts people off balance on the Nightblade. And then, what else? On the Stam Nightblade, it causes Sundered, the status effect that reduces your resistance. And pretty much that. It sets people off balance and it's stunned. But the thing is, in the past, what they have done to this ability was because it was so OP, they reduced the range of it. That was the developers' comments in the past. They reduced the range of it to 5 meters. Do you know how close 5 meters is in Elder Scrolls Online? It's like an inch. You literally need to be standing on the person. Like 5 meters in Elder Scrolls Online is not an actual real 5 meters because you really need to be standing on top of a person to be able to even cast that ability. Whether you're invisible or not, you need to be standing on the guy. And 90% of the time, you can't even cast that fucking ability because it has such a short range. A person moves, just does a roll dodge, and you're out of range of this person. And you're telling me you're going to remove the stun off of it? There's no point in removing the stun of this ability on Mag Nightblades, first of all, because now they will have no stuns at all, unless they're using dual wielding. Like on a Nightblade, if you're in stealth and you do a light attack on somebody or a medium attack, it will stun him because you have the Nightblade passive that does that. But the thing is, on the Mag Nightblade, it does not do that if you're using an Inferno Staff, so it's completely dumb to remove the stun off an ability that has such a short range. Why don't you just remove the things that you added to it, like Sundered and stuff like that, and keep the stun? But if you are removing the stun, increase the range off of that fucking ability, because that was your excuse for nerfing the range last time, because it stunned people. And that's going to fix that. You know, these fucking dots that they had increased the duration of the dots on the floors for like 20 seconds? Before they even tested it out, I knew that they were going to remove that because it is stupid that you want people to have dots on the floor that do damage every 2 seconds and stays on the floor for no reason for 20 seconds. All the lag that this would cause in PvP for no reason. A bunch of people dropping dots on the floor. They're not even there anymore. They're somewhere else, but the dots are still active on the floor. You know, brilliant changes. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Seriously, man, like, I've seen so many people saying they were going to quit the game that they keep changing things in their PTS because a lot of people are just going to stop playing the game because they're making too many changes that are stupid. Anyways, thanks for watching and subscribe to the channel if you want to help us out.